Hey, what's going on, everyone, or whoever is going to join me here tonight? Yeah, hey, everyone. I apologize. I meant to start this actually before 7:30, and something was telling me as I was watching the game, reboot your computer, reboot your computer. It seems like it wants to update, and then lo and behold, the game finished, and I decided to reboot it, and now it's taking about an hour to reboot. I think I need a new unit here. Anyway, I just wanted to come on and give some reaction to the Michigan Wolverines 50-6 victory over the Northwestern Wildcats at the Big House in Ann Arbor. So I'm going to make sure I can see myself on YouTube first, and then I'm going to play my intro, and then I'm going to just give some brief words and analysis on the game. Give me a second here, guys. And whoever comes in for however long you watch, please smash that like button and also consider subscribing to the channel if you are not subscribed. Okay, just a moment here. Okay, there's me, my live stream. Okay, there's that. Okay, and there's my handsome face. All right, I'm gonna play the intro, and then I'm gonna start, and then I'm gonna start and stop depending upon who comes through. Okay. Play the intro here. I'll see you on the other side of the yellow and blue, the Northwestern Michigan edition, the yellow and blue, team 145. Let me try that again. All right, everyone, welcome back to Big Discussions 76 Sports. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar. I am the content creator for this channel. I'm also a proud Michigan alum and a Michigan football fan and a supporter of Michigan sports. And yeah, so there we are. That's me. Please smash that like button if you haven't. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you are not. Please let me know who is there in the chat. I'm doing this one from my phone because my computer decided that it wanted to update and I didn't give it enough time to do so. Okay, so Michigan, the Michigan Wolverines, they are bowl eligible. They just defeated the Northwestern Wildcats 50-6. So this is the most, I'm going to use a scientific term here, this is the most robust score we've seen from the Wolverines this season, and I think it's something that, well, we were hoping to see earlier on in the season, but it's, I guess, as they say, better late than never. Let me know who's there who's watching out there in viewer land. So Michigan is 6-5. Okay, they are bowl eligible now. Headed into next week's annual classic with the world famous Ohio State Buckeyes. Shout out to Joel Klatt and Gus Johnson. And I think regardless of how the season has gone, maybe you want Michigan rolling into that game on a high after scoring 50 points and manhandling Northwestern. Maybe it's a good thing that they finally found some sort of rhythm going into the game at the Snake Pit next week. Now, the other thing I was thinking when I was watching this game is that I just didn't want to read too much into it because, well, Michigan was picked to win this game by 10 points or 11 points. Who's the first person in my chat? I didn't want to read too much into this game because it's Northwestern, and Northwestern isn't one of the stronger teams in the Big Ten. And, if Michigan won this game handily, what would that really tell us as it relates to next week's matchup with Abdul Gaines' team down in the Snake Pit? But it was good to see Davis Warren did throw that one pick. I'm going to go over the stats briefly, but he did throw that one pick, but he looked a little more comfortable in the pocket today. I was happy to see balls being thrown to players other than Colston Loveland. Okay, Fred Moore caught some. Tyler Morris was getting involved. I thought that was a good thing. Colston caught his balls, caught a touchdown or two. I'm going to go over the stats shortly. Marlon Klein was out there. He threw a nice block for Khalil Mullings on one run. I think that was in the second half. But the offense looked good. It looked comfortable. Again, it was against Northwestern. Both teams were unranked. So what could this tell us? But going into next week, this is what you wanted to see going into next week. And maybe even if they are comfortable, even if they've gotten comfortable against a lesser opponent, if they're comfortable going into Columbus, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay, and I think I was texting with Mason Blue Mike that if Davis Warren can protect the ball next week, it's going to be a hostile environment. He might revert back to the Davis Warren from the first 3 games, but it's going to be a hostile environment. But if he can protect the ball, okay, if Davis Warren can protect the ball and make some throws, and if Kirk Campbell is creative with the game plan, then maybe Michigan can make it a game next week. Abdul Gaines says, he says, the world famous are going to take their belt off y'all next week. Okay, so Abdul Gaines, what I will say is this, is that enjoy this while you can, because most of the week, the story was about the arms race. Okay, so while Michigan is struggling this year, while Team 145 has struggled in the aftermath of our natty last year, Abdul Gaines, they seem to be retooling and filling in the cupboard. They seem to be retooling the roster and refortifying the roster. And this week, we got word that Bryce Underwood has committed to Michigan. So he's going to be on campus next year for Team 146. And I was watching the game here on YouTube. Thank you to whoever gave us that stream, because I don't have Fox Sports 1 or Sling or YouTube Sports, but there was clamoring in the chat that Bryce Underwood should start next year, because I think Davis is gone, Jack Tuttle's gone. I think Alex has one more year left, but there were clamors right there in the chat that, hey, we need to start Bryce Underwood next year. And I saw on X that Brady Hart, even though Bryce Underwood signed, Brady Hart still wants to come. So Abdul Gaines, I'm saying that to say, enjoy this while you can. It's a down year for us, but it seems like, as of now, Michigan is going to bounce back from this year. Abdul Gaines, you're manning the chat tonight. Let me know what you think. Keep letting me know. That's a tough win for the Colorado Buffaloes tonight as well. Colorado lost to Kansas. Okay, I'm going to go over the stats a little bit. and then I'm going to wrap this stream up unless someone else comes through and has more to say. So Michigan defeated Northwestern 50-6. Yeah, the prediction was that they would win by 11 points. So they very much overperformed what the experts thought. AB Media, thank you for stopping through. AB Media is the political pundit for the collective called the Black Manosphere. He always stops through my sports streams though and gives me a what's going on and a salute. Thank you, AB. Please, everybody, please smash that like button. Okay, so I'm going to go over the stats briefly. All right. On the win. Thanks, AB. We beat Northwestern, but they look good going into next week's game at Ohio State. All right. So Michigan put up 10 points in the first quarter. Northwestern put up 6. Michigan put up 7 points in the second quarter. Northwestern put up 6. Michigan scored 2 touchdowns in that third quarter, and then Michigan scored 19 points in that fourth quarter. That gave us the score of 50-6. I'm just going to sprint through some of the player stats right now. Okay, we're going to start on the Michigan side. If I want to make some comparisons to the Northwestern side, I'll read off some of their stats, but I'm going to focus on the Michigan stats. Okay, so Davis Warren. Okay, again, I don't want to read too much into this game. He might look completely different next week down at the Horseshoe. For those of you who don't know, the Snake Pit is the Snake Pit is the Horseshoe. Shout out to Dennis Fithian because that's what he would call it for the when I listened to him on WTKA back in Ann Arbor. Okay, so Abdul Gaines, let me see what he says. He says, okay, this is the Colorado reference here. It says, I would always start the game with my best unit. If I win the coin toss, I will never understand the obsession football coaches have with getting the ball to start the second half. Well, Abdul Gaines, that's strategy. You want the ball back. You don't know how that first half is going to go, so you want the ball back coming out of halftime. It seems to be the most advantageous thing to do. Okay, so Davis Warren, probably, aside from the one pick, Davis Warren probably played his best game this season. And I think something else that led to this is we didn't really see Alex Orji today. We didn't see Alex Orji at all. So the coaching staff decided, Sharon and Kirk Campbell, Davis is going to need to be comfortable going into Columbus. So, and they probably figured, okay, at key times in the previous games, when Davis moved us into the red zone, we did the quarterback carousel thing, and we pulled Davis out of the game when he could have engineered a scoring drive. So I think that's probably what Sharon Moore and Kirk Campbell were thinking. So no Alex Orji today, just Davis Warren, and it worked out well for the team. Okay, so he played a good game, probably his best game this season. Please smash that like button if you haven't. So Davis Warren went 26 for 35. He almost broke the 200-yard mark. He almost did, but he missed it by 5 yards. So he went 26 for 35 for 195 yards and 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Okay, so this is Davis's probably his best game this entire season. We got a lot of production from our running backs. Okay, our two-headed monster of Khalil Mullings and Donovan Edwards. So Khalil Mullings had a monster game. He carried the ball 12 times for 92 yards for an average of 8 yards per carry, and he scored 3 touchdowns. Okay, Donovan Edwards carried the ball 10 times for 65 yards for a 7-yard per carry average and 1 touchdown. Tavier Dunlap carried the ball once for 20 yards and 1 touchdown. Okay. Let's see. The Marshall kid carried the ball 7 times for 17 yards. Okay. The receiving, we should have seen more of this throughout the season. We should have seen more balls spread, more games where the ball was being spread around. That's probably a function of when Davis was in there running for his life, having happy feet, and just throwing the ball up for grabs. Okay. But also I think what we know about offense in football is it takes time for the offensive line to gel and for the chemistry to develop. So the offensive line, these are all first year starters, okay, and these guys are probably more comfortable now than they were during our opener against Fresno State. So the offensive line, again, it was against Northwestern, but the offensive line is probably protecting our quarterbacks much better now than they were earlier on in the season. So in any case, Davis took care of the ball. He spread it around. Tyler Morris caught 7 balls for 64 yards. Fred Moore caught 2 balls for 26 yards. Colston Loveland caught 3 balls for 22 yards and 1 touchdown. Max Bredesen caught 2 balls for 19 yards. There was a play in that first half that I really liked where they did a bit of a play action for Bredesen. So Michigan was pinned back in its half of the field. Bredesen flashed in the backfield like he was gonna, and he flashed out like he was gonna block, but instead of running the ball, they threw it to him. So that's the kind of creativity that Michigan should have been using all year with Max Bredesen and with everybody. That particular play stood out to me. In addition to the Marlon Klein kickout block that sprung Khalil Mullings free for a big gain in the second half. Okay, so Donovan Edwards caught 4 balls for 17 yards. Donovan should have been catching more balls throughout the season. Khalil Mullings caught 2 for 17 yards. Peyton O'Leary caught 2 for 10 yards, and then Marlon Klein caught 1 for 8 yards, and then Kendrick Bell caught 1, and then the M. Capana kid, who it sounds like is going to pay big dividends for us once he gets on the field next year. He caught 1 ball, and then Benjamin Hall caught 1. Okay, so the defense had a monster game. Okay, again, this was against a lesser opponent. Kenneth Grant, probably one of my favorite players ever since he ran down Katron Allen in Happy Valley last year. He had 3 tackles and 1 sack. Ernest Hausman had 3 tackles and 1 sack. Josiah Stewart had 2 tackles and 2 sacks. TJ Guy had 1 tackle and 1 sack. So they were getting back there, and they were getting after that Northwestern quarterback, Lausch kid. The Lausch kid went 10 for 21 for 106 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that was about it. So they were getting good pressure on the Lausch kid. And Northwestern, just in general, wasn't able to get much done today. But again, they are not one of the top teams in the Big Ten. So you really weren't expecting them to give Michigan much pushback today. That's what I'm trying to say. But I think based upon the prediction for the game, Michigan overperformed. So and if they gained confidence from this, if they gained quite a bit of confidence from this, then that's what you want going into next week's game. So I don't really have much more to say than that. This was a good win. Abdul Gaines, thank you for another comment. Abdul Gaines says, the Wolverines being able to secure Underwood is a nice, swift kick in the you-know-what to LSU. Yeah, Brian Kelly is not having a good time right now. He's probably on his way out. But speaking of Abdul Gaines, and I mean, this is college football 101. When Abdul Gaines was still a Wolverine himself, he did ask the question, when is Jim Harbaugh going to start one of his own homegrown quarterbacks? And it wasn't until Jim Harbaugh coached up Cade McNamara and then J.J. McCarthy, it wasn't until that happened that the program, it wasn't until that happened that we had the last 3 years. Okay, so certainly getting the top 5-star quarterback in this class and then bringing in Brady Hart the year after him, that's going to bode well for our program. That's going to bode really, really well for our program. Will Sharon Moore or whoever is coaching, will they be able to keep both of them long term? I don't know. That remains to be seen. Both kids have to stay healthy. Really, really good kids aren't going to want to sit behind another kid, especially when they're only 1 year apart. But also, the coaching is going to be critical. So someone said in the chat during today's game that Kirk Campbell coached well enough today to be on staff next year. So I know a lot of people want to see Kirk Campbell gone, but I think it's great that we're getting Bryce Underwood and Brady Hart after him, but this is all going to go back to coaching. It's all going to go back to the coaching staff creating quality game plans, scheming for the opponents, and putting these kids in the position to be the most successful that they can be. So a lot of things are going to have to come together to get us back to where we were the last 3 years. Please smash that like button if you haven't. Also, let me know what you think in the chat about today's game or about getting Bryce Underwood to sign. I'm going to let this go for a few more minutes. The other big news I saw on X is that Will Johnson, as you might expect, he's done. Okay, so no Will Johnson today, unless he's going to surprise us, but no Will Johnson next week against Ohio State either, when we could really use him. Now, the other thing, this will probably be the last thing I say, unless anyone else has anything else to say there in the chat, is with Michigan being bowl eligible. Me and Mason Blue Mike were texting about this earlier. With Michigan now being bowl eligible, Dre Ellerby, thank you for stopping through. Let me know what you thought about the game. Let me know what you think about any of this. Signing Bryce Underwood, Michigan now being bowl eligible, Will Johnson being done. Let me know what you think about any of this. The bowl game, Mason Blue Mike said he wants the bowl game. He wants those extra 15 practices for the kids. I think that's a good thing, but don't be surprised if Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham, don't be surprised if those guys call it a season as well, because we know what happened to Jake Butt in that Orange Bowl, the 2016 season. So we will likely, whichever bowl we get into, we're likely going to play that game without our NFL draft prospects, which is, well, it's just what it is. Please smash that like button if you haven't. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you are not subscribed. I'll let this go for a few more minutes. Dre Ellerby says, good game, but on to the mean game. Yeah, Dre, I think, it was against Northwestern. I think we have to keep that in perspective. But if Michigan can go in to the horseshoe next week playing like this, then I think they can make it a game. Okay. But that's a big if. It's going to be a hostile environment. Davis Warren is going to have to settle down and be comfortable back there. They're going to have to pass protect for him. And he's going to have to, go through his reads. This Ohio State defense, it's not our defense from last year. It's not the Georgia defense from 2 years ago. It's not an Alabama defense. So I think that, a competent offense can move the ball on this Ohio State defense. But it's just, can Michigan hold it together for an entire 60 minutes, an entire 4 quarters? Well, we're going to find out. Okay. And if they can pull this upset, that's going to be a colossal upset. But Ryan Day, they've had this one circled for a year now. So it would be cool to see an upset. But well, I'm going to be measured when I watch that game next weekend. So, does anyone else have any more comments on this? I wish someone said in the chat when I was watching the stream that if Michigan had played this way the entire season, they'd be 8-2 right now and contending for one of the 12 college football playoff slots, which there may be some truth to that. If but the offense was so raggedy in the beginning, and the quarterback position was not settled, and Davis was turning the ball over. The coaching staff was under pressure to do something, and you had Alex Orji there waiting in the wings, and you had Jack Tuttle battling through injuries. So yeah, I agree. If Michigan had played this way throughout the season, they would be in contention for one of those playoff spots. But it is what it is. Dre Ellerby says, upset next week, go blue. Yeah, stranger things have happened in this game throughout its history. In some instances, new life gets breathed into the weaker team, and the game ends up being more of a game than it should be. And in some instances, in some years, the weaker team has played spoiler to the favored team. I don't know if you guys remember. Well, you guys remember the John O'Korn 2017 game. Okay, when he threw that pick at the end of the game, the Dwayne Haskins game. That was Michigan turned that into a game. Now it was at home at the Big House, but there was no way. I don't think anyone thought with John O'Korn at the helm that Michigan would take Ohio State down to the wire like that. Okay, but Ohio State was limited that year offensively as well. So yeah, there we are. Okay, those are my thoughts on today's game. There isn't much to say other than that Michigan won 50-6, and it was against a lesser opponent. And then their big final test is next week against Ohio State. And the big thing for Michigan will be to play spoiler and to get ready for whichever bowl game they're gonna go to, or they're gonna get asked, or they're gonna get invited to. There's no Big Ten championship game for us this year. There's no college football playoff for us this year. So it's the bowl game, and then that's it. And then let's get Bryce Underwood and the new recruits in here and try to be one of the top 12 teams next season. Ray Ellerby says, we was up 14-0 in that game, but the Don Brown defense showed up. Yeah, there was a play there. I can't remember which one it was. There was a play. You know what? That Northwestern kid made a really good catch. He had two Michigan Wolverines on him, and he slid on the turf, and the ball dropped right into his hands as he slid. So I think Zeke Berry or Amir Hall, one of those guys, was guarding him, that Northwestern player, when that happened. But it was that play that allowed them to get into scoring range. Otherwise, it would have been much worse for Northwestern. They only scored 6 points. So please smash that like button. And consider subscribing if you are not subscribed. All right, guys, that's all I have. You know what? I was thinking during the game that I might give my Ohio State prediction tomorrow. If the spread comes out tomorrow, which it probably will, and even if it doesn't, I might get on and give my brief prediction tomorrow, since it's Thanksgiving week and I'll be traveling and I might not have time to sit and do one during the week. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Abdul Gaines, Dre, thank you for coming through and hanging out in my chat for a little bit. Go Blue, good win. Let's see if they can carry this momentum forward next week down to Columbus. It's a noon kickoff. I will be in upstate New York, and I will. I think I'm going to go to my usual place to watch the game, though I won't have the usual sidekick there with me. But all right, everyone, if you're watching on the playback, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Go Blue. As always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Always try to do your best. Take care, and I will talk to you all the next time. Go Blue, good win, Wolverines, and coaching staff. Bye-bye.